What is going on, everybody? Today we have another redo. I hope you guys enjoy it. So we're just gonna get right into it.
Hey, get on my chair!
Hey, welcome back to the channel, everyone. This is The World According to Briggs. I'm Briggs and I make lists about places. Today we're going to take a look at another state. Technically, it's not a state, but a commonwealth. If you don't know the difference between a commonwealth and a state, don't worry, there is no difference. It's just a word. Or at least that's how it is in the United States. There is a difference in the UK from what I understand. This preference is believed to have existed because of some sort of anti-monarchical sentiment in using the word commonwealth. So the place has some history to say the least, far more than I could cover in a YouTube video. Pennsylvania is a great state with great history, great people, and great places. They also have some not-so-great places, like every other state or commonwealth. And that's the focus of today's list, the not-so-great towns in Pennsylvania. So here's my top 10 worst towns in Pennsylvania. Number 10. Aliquippa. Aliquippa, Pennsylvania is small, and it has a bunch of people. That is always a good mix, especially if you're looking to make it on a worst of type list. The unemployment rate in Aliquippa is staggeringly high at 12%, and income levels are embarrassingly low. The median home price in Aliquippa is only $70,000. And if that's not bad enough, the Pennsylvania Auditor General released an audit report saying the school district is barely treading water and has been since 2012. That's always a good sign. They do have one bright spot. They don't have many of the major crimes happening like rape or murder. But the crimes where someone takes your crap, like theft, burglary, and auto theft, it's a different story. Those crimes and unemployment always go hand in hand. I've mentioned that on other videos. Here's a fun fact. The poverty level in Aliquippa is 45% higher than the national average. Probably not the best place to relocate to. Number 9. Cory, Pennsylvania. This is a place where brains apparently are a liability. I recently did a video on the worst neighborhoods in Los Angeles. I mentioned the Staples Center, where the Kings and the Lakers play. And a person named Tom Terry informed me that I was an idiot because the Kings play in Sacramento, not Los Angeles. He was kinda right. The NBA Kings do play in Sacramento. He was very proud that he gained this knowledge all the way across the country in Cory PA. I had to inform him about this cool sport called hockey, which also has a team called the Kings. I didn't have the heart to tell him that the NHL Kings had the name first. He never commented back. Statistically, Cory is a very depressed area. Here's some fun facts about that. The per capita income in Cory is 45% lower than the national average. They make about $15,000 a year. The unemployment rate in Cory is terrible. It's 17% higher than the national average at about 7%. And if you do live below the poverty line and have no prospects of getting out, move to Cory. You won't be alone. As a matter of fact, a quarter of the residents will have that in common with you. Number 8. Bradford. Bradford, Pennsylvania is near the New York state line, and from what I've heard, New York would like to build a wall at that border, or at least move the border a little further away from any of their towns. This town has one of the highest percentage of residents on public assistance, and they do a lot of Netflix binge watching. Just kidding, they can't afford internet. Here's a fun fact. The median household income in Bradford is 40% lower than the national average, at $32,000. That means 2 people in a home making $16,000 a year. That's bad. The poverty level in Bradford is 110% higher than the national average at 33%. Fun times in Bradford. Number 7. Clearfield. Clearfield, Pennsylvania is one of those towns that girls lie to their parents about when asked where her new boyfriend is from. The conversation usually goes something like this. Hey, Brittany, where did you meet your new boyfriend? The methadone clinic. Clearfield hasn't always been that way. In 1966, Clearfield was one of the winners of the All-American City Award given annually to the top 10 cities in the United States. So they should be applauded for that. Sadly, that's when they peaked. And it's been a steady downhill slope for the last 52 years. They also have some fun facts. The overall crime rate in Clearfield is 35% higher than the national average. The smart money will tell you to stay out of Clearfield. It's unhealthy. Number 6. Darby. Darby, Pennsylvania is located just about 5 miles from downtown Philadelphia, and not too far from Camden, New Jersey. Both very dangerous places. And Darby is a dangerous town in its own right. Statistically, Darby is actually worse than Philly, at least in the violence category, because of its size. Over the holidays, an Amazon delivery woman was kidnapped and robbed at gunpoint. Now, they didn't get any cash, just a couple grand in Bluetooth speakers and Bob Ross Chia Pets. If your Bob Ross Chia Pet was stolen in the heist, I will leave a link below so you could buy a new one. Here's their fun facts. Overall crime rate in Darby is 106% higher than the national average. The unemployment rate in Darby is 79% higher than the national average. If someone suggests you go to Darby to, sightsee, get something to eat, make a dentist appointment to get some teeth pulled instead. It'll be more pleasurable. Number 5. Shamokin. Shamokin is a town in central Pennsylvania. The first human settlement of Shamokin was believed to be Shawnee Indians. Later, a large population of Delaware Indians was forcibly resettled there in the early 18th century after they lost the rights to their land in the Walking Purchase. And that was the beginning of a couple hundred years of some very bad history. More recently, some teenagers set fire to local Dunkin' Donuts. This was devastating to the locals. It was all they talked about on the news for like 3 days. They kept interviewing people that were almost in tears that this Dunkin' Donuts would be closed down. You know a town blows when they don't even have a major interstate within like 20 miles. Actually, the closest one is like 18 miles, but still, you get the idea. In reality, if I was in charge of building roads in Pennsylvania, I would probably steer clear of a town that's name means a place for eels. Here's some Shamokin fun facts. In Shamokin, 98% of the population is Caucasian. The poverty level in Shamokin is 38% higher than the nation's average. And the school systems suck pretty bad too. The unemployment rate in Shamokin is 29% higher than the national average. Number 4. Ambridge. Ambridge, Pennsylvania is a town built around the steel industry like so much of Pennsylvania. Ambridge became a world leader in steel production back in the early 1900s, and those would be considered the golden days of Ambridge. It's been downhill ever since. If you're into being smacked around, attacked while buying a lottery ticket, or have someone beat your ass on a sidewalk in broad daylight, move to Ambridge. If that's your kind of thing, this is the place to go. Recently, a school bus monitor decided to grab a 5-year-old girl by the neck and threaten to shave her head because she wouldn't sit down. Classy. Here's some Ambridge fun facts. Overall crime rate in Ambridge is 73% higher than the national average. In Ambridge, you have a 1 in 21 chance of becoming a victim of any crime. The poverty level in Ambridge is 85% higher than the national average. They should be higher on this list. Those are some ugly stats. Number 3. Steelton. Steelton, Pennsylvania is a town just outside of Harrisburg on the Susquehanna River. And that's about the end of the nice things you could say about Steelton. Crime, housing, education, employment, they're horrible statistically speaking. This is a place with a long history of bad luck. Here's one example. In 1962, 19 people were killed and 199 injured when a train from Harrisburg bound for Philadelphia derailed in Steelton. 4 of the passenger cars ended up in the river. What's weird, I guess they had a little luck. For some reason, the Navy's marching band saw this happen. Don't ask me why they were there in Steelton. They saw this happen and helped out with the recovery and the rescue. That's kind of weird. So I guess that's a little good luck coming from bad luck. More recently, the mayor of Harrisburg's senior advisor was found guilty of threatening a man's life in Steelton. Of course, now he's the former senior advisor to the mayor. Here's some Steelton fun facts. The population density in Steelton is 1,007% higher than the rest of Pennsylvania. The average school test score in Steelton is 69% lower than the national average. In Steelton, you have a 1 in 21 chance of becoming a victim of any crime. Not a place you want to hang out. Number 2. Sharon Hill. Sharon Hill, Pennsylvania is a town in Delaware County, and according to the FBI, violent crimes have nearly doubled here the last few years. This place has some violent crimes. Has some really strange violent crimes at that. My favorite crime recently was a man named Leonard Holmes. He was charged with strangulation, simple assault, and harassment in connection with a domestic incident. A verbal argument escalated when Holmes allegedly grabbed a woman's face, threw her down, and started choking her. According to police, the woman found a hammer on the ground and hit Holmes in the head to break free. Now, That part is horrible. What makes it great is police thought he was actually drunk, or he was high, or something, because he was slurring his words, he was confused about what happened, he kept losing his train of thought. It turns out he had a severe concussion from the hammer beating he took. That was terrific. And days later, he still didn't remember what happened. Here's Sharon Hill's fun facts. The unemployment rate in Sharon Hill is 91% higher than the national average. They're 11% unemployed. The overall crime rate in Sharon Hill is 79% higher than the national average. The average home rent asked in Sharon Hill is 12% higher than the national average. Now, they actually want more rent, and you're living in an extremely dangerous, horrible place, and they're still asking for high rent. That's nuts. And number 1, Duquesne. Duquesne, Pennsylvania is just down the river from Pittsburgh and always seems to show up on lists about towns that suck. It's almost like they take pride in it and they want to keep the trend going. The city's population peaked in the 1930s, then declined with the deindustrialization beginning in the 1960s. Today, it's a sad post-industrial landscape filled with empty storefronts and rundown homes. Duquesne has fewer total residents now than they actually had in steel workers, like at the plant and at the mill, in 1948. According to the McKee Sport Daily News, which is right across the river from, Duquesne has the worst performing schools in the state of Pennsylvania. Duquesne was designated as a financially distressed municipality in 1991 by the state of Pennsylvania. They do have an amusement park called Kennywood, so it makes it kind of not a total loss. 5 years ago, the state took control of the struggling Duquesne School District. The school district had bad scores and they were broke. In an audit by the state auditor general, they found that the former superintendent and 4 other employees used the district's funds as their own personal piggy bank. They were giving each other no-interest loans out of the school's already stretched budget. And now on to their fun facts. The overall crime rate in Duquesne is 91% higher than the national average. That's obscene. The average school test score in Duquesne is 71% lower than the national average. The unemployment rate in Duquesne is 127% higher than the national average at 14%. The median home price in Duquesne is 78% lower than the national average. You can get a house there for about $47,000. That's not a joke. That's really sad that you can actually buy a home for $47,000. Alright everyone, that's my video, the worst small towns in Pennsylvania. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to leave me a comment, tell me what you thought, give me a big thumbs up. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you already haven't. I left some links below that help me out. Everyone have a great day. Thanks for watching. Be nice to each other.